As you can see, the Peterbilt's back. It's not back because there's really a problem. It's just the fact that we've done a lot of work over this. The season's come to an end, and it is time for us to look over, well, do several things. We need to look over all the work we did. We're especially going to be inspecting the frame splice in here. We're going to be looking at all the suspension work we did, make sure everything's tight, looking for any signs of anything that's loose, because a lot of times when you do stuff like this, you get some miles on it, and if there's any, like we put grease between the two frames, so you know, sometimes you get that bolt tight, well, it may just end up maybe something was in there, a piece of crud or a piece of drillings or something we missed, and it can come loose. So we need to really go over this with a fine-tooth comb front to back, make sure everything's okay, and then once we know that's okay, then we're going to do some repairs. It sure is hard on a U-joint, hard on pinion seals. Oh yeah, that U-joint's moving in that shaft. Pinion seal's leaking. It was damp before, it's just getting worse. Pinion. That pinion feels okay. This has really built up oil on it, but nothing new. I can't hold this steady enough to show you what I can see. See if I can get that focused in a little bit better. This U-joint cap is moving in that yoke, so it'll need the whole entire shaft because that yoke's worn out. This slip yoke's worn out, so we'll just have them build another shaft. So we made our way down from the splice in the frame forward of that. It's everything we had apart all the way down one side of the frame and then back up the other, and making sure everything's tight. And this is the kind of things we're looking for. You see those rust streaks right there around that? Same thing over here. Every one of the Peterbilt cross members are like that, and we retightened them, and we got just a little bit of a turn out of it, but it was enough that you could see that it would leave rust streaks. And that is, we should have cleaned them bolts up or replaced them, because when you get a little scale under that bolt and then you go to tighten it, you dislodge it and then they can come loose. It could be the paint on the two, but we went through and retightened everything again, and that's the only thing we found that was actually loose. Now we're starting to, well, it's not true. This bolt right here didn't have great threads in the yoke, and this thing was out about 1/4 of an inch. So I took that back out, I cleaned it out, and I put thread locker on it, and then we checked all the rest. We're going to go down through the rest of the drive shaft and check every cap just to make sure it's okay. We're doing some inspection, and remember, we stopped right about here. Okay, this is where we stopped. Now, if you can see, switch cameras here. Now you can see what's happening here. This transmission mount is pretty much wasted. This is the isolator bushing. You can see how there's like nothing left of it in there. I'm not going to get too excited about that because we're going to be pulling the motor, which means this transmission comes out. And here's one of the reasons we're pulling the motor. It leaks oil horribly, and you just can't have that. This is very upsetting. The clutch needs adjusted already. You know, it was on the road for about 4 months. This is nothing more than driver error right here. Wish I could find a way to get that to stay good. Get the light in there, but I mean, yeah, I can get my thumb in there sideways. That's how much wear is on that clutch already. That stinks. It's a brand new clutch pressure plate throttle bearing. So we're gonna have to adjust the clutch, and we replaced a bunch of the bolts in here and drilled out the heim joints for bigger bolts so that they weren't as sloppy because everything was worn. And then there's a pop in the front end when you make a left turn, or a turn he says, I think I see it right here. That might be it right there. We might have enough wear in that bushing and the shackle that's popping when you hit it. It's just gonna shift. You know, the weight of the truck is shifting, and this leaf spring come over here and hit this. You can see how dry it is in there. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't think we'll worry about that right now. I'm just gonna inspect the frame really well to make sure there's no cuts, cracks, breaks, anything like that. Our splice joint is way back there. You know, I got a lot of ridicule about, you know, your splice needs to be blah blah blah. Look, I don't care how you splice your frame. There's a million and one ways to do it. Do whatever you like. I did the way I liked, and it seems to be doing okay. I don't see any problems, but it's way back there. And our liner comes way up here. Our liner is 7 feet long, and our splice, you know, this is only 10-inch frame. So PACCAR, I think they want for every, whatever the height is, you take that times 2 each way. So this is a 10 1/4 frame, so you'd go basically 20 1/2 and 20 1/2. Well, that's only 41 inches. You know, we're 84 inches. We're well beyond, and I'm happy with it. It's working out just fine. Plus, we did the outer frame layers. You can see right there. I put that on the outside, but I need to inspect everything real good to see what we need to do on the front end, because the time to do that work is when the engine's out, because it's a lot easier to get to everything. I imagine that mount might need replaced. That's dry, and that is not good. Look how dry that is compared to this one. Like, it wouldn't take grease apparently. All they had to do is jack up the frame just a little bit, take some weight off it. It probably would have taken grease. This side, transmission mounts equally as bad. I know I've got the camera twisted all over here, but it's hard for me to see and do this. But those will need replaced too. And then if we're taking it apart, I think we're going to go ahead and put a cross shaft and bushings in. And then we'll see if I can talk him into doing that input shaft, because the bearing was a little sloppy. Anyways, you can see how badly this thing leaks oil. And this thing tops out at 52 miles an hour, tops pegged. So, all right, next thing we got to do is get the front end jacked up. We got to check kingpins, start checking some steering components. Let's see what's going on there. Well, this hub seal is leaking, and it was parked like this for a little while, so it leaked out of here. But look at how much gear oil it's lost. It's inside the wheel here, but it's down to about right here at the add level, so hopefully the bearings are still good. You watch, it'll rain before I get the part. I ordered a new snap ring for my Milwaukee. I got an email this morning that said that it's back ordered.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I guess I'll find it somewhere else. More than likely this is a seal issue right here, so I'm not going to be too excited about saving this. I guess I need a hammer.
Oh, I guess not.
4095, that's what we need. Okay, guess I'll need a little brake parts cleaner. Look at that. Look at their tightening method they used. Chisel. I want you to know that this truck, before he bought it, was owned by a diesel, what do you call that, school?
Yeah. Training facility.
Yeah, like vocational type deal. Yeah, and we have found so many things on this truck that are just wrong.
Yeah, like you really wouldn't
parts missing.
Teach someone to.
Yeah.
And the students, from what I understood, did work on this truck. It wasn't used just for the lot or whatever. But,
mm-hmm. Yep, they did the maintenance on it, but yeah, they probably need a little bit better instructor, or maybe a little bit better supervision, one or the other. But Anyways, we'll get us a hub seal for this. We'll get all this cleaned off and we'll hose all this out. Get any crud out of there that's in it. That one's tight. This one's loose. Not horrible, but enough to notice. That one's tight. I need you to turn that wheel a little bit. Left and right, I gotta check the other side. Go ahead. Not so much. Back and forth faster in smaller amounts. Less, less, and quicker. That's tight too. Okay. Alright, we'll check the kingpins now. Okay, go ahead. Well, it's tight. You got nothing, do you?
No.
Yeah, do it again. Yeah, it's tight. There's nothing wrong with that. While we got the jack up, we'll go ahead and grease the top and the bottom grease fittings and turn the wheel. That's the only way to grease this thing well. A little bit less. Yeah, we got wheel bearing. A little bit of wheel bearing play there. All right, go ahead, go a little harder. Go a little more. That kingpin's tight. Okay, let me look at that wheel bearing. Well, I guess we'll fix that. Well, this is what we found when we took it apart. It's all rusty. So water has been laying in this hub. So that's a locking washer. This is a locking plate. You see how crusty it is. And then if you look at this nut, look how rusty it is. I'm kind of afraid what we're going to find behind here. But we need to look. Oh yeah, that's junk. She junk. It's junk. This is why you have to investigate all of this, because there's a little bit of wheel bearing play. And somebody's like, we should take that apart and look at it and make sure it's not a bad bearing. And it wasn't. It was a loose bearing. But look, it's a bad bearing. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't show up real good on here. But
that's unfortunate. Is your light on?
Yeah.
Turn your light off.
I don't know how.
Right there.
Turn it on. Okay.
Looky there.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, so you can see the little pits. That's metal transfer.
What a pity.
That's a good name for this truck. Little Pity. Well, if that one's bad, I'll guarantee you the inside's just as bad, and this has probably been replaced. These are Timken USA bearings, but look at that rust buildup on them. Great. So, next step, take the tire off and get the hub off. Dayton hubs, just love them. Oh yeah, look at this. Over on this side, this is material gone right there, and there's more of it right there and there. This is horrible. Ugh. This one's pitted too. It's just not as bad. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm not doing one bearing and race without the other. You see how dull it is? See how the metal transfers there? The worst part is I'll be taking out better parts that I'm going to replace it with, because this was Timken USA way back when. That sucks. Let's look at the race in here. Doesn't matter. If I replace a bearing, I replace a hub, because that's the way it should be done. Or if I replace a bearing, I replace a race. Let's see what this looks like. Oh yeah, look at that. Laziness. Alright, well, the rust up on top of here.
Oh boy.
This thing's been laying with water in it for quite some time. I got the insert out of there and the fitting, and unfortunately the leak might be above it. There's a sharp spot right up here on the bottom of the reservoir. On the back side right there, and I'm afraid it might be cracked. It'll suck. So I may have to take that off and try and weld that, or find another one. I don't know. Next thing on the agenda is these headlights. Look at that. Come on, focus. He doesn't want to get rid of these light bulbs, so I gotta find something that'll work inside here. This is an H4 bulb, so I gotta find something that'll work inside this. Well, that's how hot it's been. It's all busted up. Well, I wonder if there's something else I can find that'll work. I don't know. We'll see what we can look at and see what we can locate. This is the boot that goes over it. It's cooked too. We'll see what we can find. Took this rocker cover off so I can see what the inside of the engine looks like, because we're considering rebuilding this or swapping it out, like I said. And I wanted to look because it did have jakes on it one time, but they've been removed. You can look here. This part's remaining. That little stem adapter it uses to push on that valve, that's still here. And I started looking at the bolt holes. This one looks pretty good. I don't really see anything wrong there. A little boogered, but not horrible. This one, I can't tell if it's helicoiled in here or not. It changes color. It's very hard to see. And now you can see it. This one looks okay. That one looks okay. I'm going to venture to say this one's probably not going to be okay. Get a light here. There you go. I don't think that one's going to be alright. Threads are gone. The box is broken, the rocker box, and it's letting oil come up through that bolt and out, because see how clean that is there. So there's one of our major leaks. And that's the thing about old trucks, is this the kind of stuff you find. You find a lifetime of people going in here and doing things not right, and then just passing it off. And it just and this is what I have to explain to him all the time is, you've got the old truck blues. It's had everybody and their brother underneath the hood for how long. If you want to make it right, you got to make it right. I'm here looking at another engine. This is the other truck. This is the one that the guy did the frame stretch on, and it was an absolute abomination. But he's thinking about just pulling this engine out and putting it in the other one. And I wish I would have looked this truck over and driven it first before we started the other one, because I probably would have taken this. I mean, you can see this engine's got some minor leaks, but nothing big. The other one's just pouring all over the place. That oil pan's mostly dry. Look, that's what shackles are supposed to look like. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is so much better. The clutch linkage is tight. The clutch itself shifts well. It feels good. There probably would have been a lot less work in this. I know he's going to pilfer this truck apart until there's nothing left, but man, if it were me, I would certainly just buy 2 frame rails and rebuild this truck. This is a much better truck. He could build what he wanted. Oh boy, what to do. I know he's not going to want to do that. That's what I would do. I would take this thing completely apart, to put 2 new frame rails underneath it, and that would be that. And I would have a really nice truck, because this thing is in so much better shape. The reason it needs frame rails is not, instead of splicing, is it's not only bad back there where it's cracked and broken, but there's some really bad rust jacking right here at this body mount. That is just horrendous, and I can only imagine what that's like once you knock it loose. Right, oh yeah, you can see it bulging right there, it looks like in the camera. Anyways, this would have been a much better truck to build. Look at that engine, that's in nice shape. I don't know if it's been in-framed or out of frame, but the ID tag is gone. Well, it's got dual filters, and it's got a stamped steel oil pan. So that narrows her down, plus the age of the truck. You can't always go by the truck, because a lot of times they swap motors around left and right, you know. So, but those are identifying factors, that the twin oil filters and the stamped steel oil pan. That tells us which generation of big cam it is. And all the big cams say big cam on them. Cast in the side of the block. You can get to it. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't think I can get to it. Right there. Can you read that? No. Up this way. Let's go up this way. There you go. There it is. So the difference in the big cam, the small cam, or it was never really called a small cam, it's just the generation before the big cam. The journals are just larger. Apparently they had a problem with pressure on them and journals failing and what have you, some other issues, but I don't know. This is so much better. I'd save a lot of time by taking this out, because this accessory drive on this one is better. Ooh, go ahead, sun's off, wouldn't it? I'll go. Yeah, you can't see. It's starting to come out some, but it's not nearly as bad. You can see it riding up on this pulley here, and it's riding up on this pulley here. See how the gap is tight there and it's loose here? It's starting to walk out that way. This belt's just loose. This belt's pretty tight. Yeah, I'll have to see what he wants to do. This is definitely by far a lot cleaner engine. Of course, it's had the aerosol overhaul. Wish the tag was here. Can probably get some numbers off the pump, maybe. Give us an idea if the tag's still here. I don't see it. Yeah. Whatever. Somebody's been in behind there adjusting, I bet. That's why they bent that out. That's why this one goes faster. This one, he says, goes faster and has more power. And here's why somebody's been fooling with the pump. So I wonder if this has been changed. We don't know for sure because we don't have an engine serial number. It should be stamped on this block, and I can't remember where. Somewhere on this block, the serial number should be stamped. Alright, so the new plan is to go ahead and drop the oil pan, clean up the oil pan. The oil pan's rusted and it's leaking. And if you notice here, there's something missing. Right about that hole right there. So we're going to get a new oil pan gasket. We're going to drain this out, drop it down. And we're going to pull a rod bearing and a main bearing and look at them and see what they look like. And depending on what they look like, we're either going to go through this engine, or we're going to throw rods and mains in it and send it on its way. So we'll know once we get this off, but this is an absolute oily, disgusting mess, and I hate working on stuff like this. Okay, I got all the bolts out. I leave one midway this side, one midway on the other side. I just give it a kick, and that's usually enough to crack them loose. We ain't the first person to be in here, maybe, huh? Okay, it's just about done draining. So what we'll do is, this is already an oily mess, so we're gonna go ahead and shut this off. We'll get this out of here, out of our way. It's gonna have to be cleaned up very well. I would have liked to pressure wash this, but you can't pressure wash it where we're at, and I just want to see what we got going on. So gross.
Watch out, watch out. You're gonna kick over the oil bucket. Your light's blinding us.
Oh man, my oil feed is emptying out of the crank here. I can grab this.
I'm gonna set this thing down, whatever it is, because it stinks.
That's a main bearing cap, lady.
Well, it stinks.
That crank looks absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy about that. Right,
Well, that's good. Something looks beautiful.
yeah.
We sure got dirty today. We sure got dirty today.
Yeah. Doing my piece. Yeah. Blue towel.
Hold on.
See, this is the problem I have. There is no way in the world that I'm putting this in.
That looks really worn.
It's not horribly worn, but it is worn. But there's just no way I'm putting that back together if I have a choice. And the date on this, I think, is 2005.
Where are you seeing the date?
10/05.
Oh.
I believe that's what that is. You can feel that difference. Run your finger across there. Yeah, you'll have to take your...
I have gloves
use
on
your...
that hand.
This way. This way. Wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
Wax on, you feel the difference?
Mm.
And going through the metal. Yeah, there's no way you're this far. There's no way. There is some light scoring in the cylinders too. These notches, you know, have to go in the right spot so that these things don't twist. So I pulled the bearings out from the main and the rod, and like I said, the rod always usually wears out the top, and then the main usually wears the bottom out. And I chose these ones because they're the farthest away from the oil pump, and I don't know if that's how the Big Cam Cummins oil pressure runs from front to back. I just know the oil pump's up in the front, so I chose this one, and I'll show you what I found here. I'll get out from underneath the truck with the bearings, but that crank looks really, really nice. So we got to find an oil pan. This one has a rust hole in the bottom. It's been crushed right in this area, and it's leaking right there. It's a rust hole. So we got to find an oil pan, and as you can see here, this is our main bearing. This is the bottom side. This takes all the force as the rod comes down. There's a lot of force on the bottom of that one. This is the top of the main bearing. It's not got much wear at all. This is the bottom of the rod, and of course it doesn't have a lot of wear. It's just pushing the piston back up. And then this is the top side of the rod, and obviously we are through the material, and it's time to put some bearings in it. So we're at a standstill for right now because I have to call him and give him the great news, and he has the other engine, so I have a feeling he's going to tell me that let's just swap engines, because the other one I don't know, but I got a feeling it's been gone through, and that would save us from having to get an oil pan right now, because it has a good oil pan on it, and it might be in our best interest just to swap engines. But that's all we got for now, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you on the next one. We'll pick up wherever or whatever we're going to do, I don't know yet.